when I started out, I had no idea of how people would respond to the detergent because, or even to the idea of using a natural cleaning product in India. But I'll be honest, at that moment, it feels awful. Like you feel like you're at rock bottom. You feel like, oh my God, I'm going to shut down. What do I do? Like, how do I solve this? Oh God, everything is crashing. And you just have to get through that crash. I don't know. Every day is awful and every day is amazing. I think that is that is the advice I can give anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. Like, get ready for a roller coaster.
Hello everybody, this is Shweta Dalman. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Climapreneur Show. We are back again with another powerful conversation. Our guest today is Shaan Lalwani, the founder of Coco Custo. Welcome to the Climapreneur Show, Shaan. I'm so excited and so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm really excited that we're finally able to do this.
Shaan, I have got this one amazing brand's product with me right now. Like, do you by any chance recognize the brand? Do you by any chance know? And I have to tell you that the founder, she's a pretty courageous lady, I love her. So do you by any chance know her?
Maybe, perhaps.
Maybe, Shaan?
Maybe.
Okay, so I want you to say some words for the founder of this brand that I have with me today.
Don't be nervous.
Shaan, that was a great opportunity for you to talk beautiful things about you at length, things that people have been talking about. Before actually doing this podcast, I read a lot about Coco Custo. I read a lot about you over the internet. And truly, I found so many pieces about you. I was like, you're doing such an amazing work. So you had the opportunity here to talk amazing things about you, and you just missed it.
Oops.
Okay, Shaan. So, Shaan, tell me that how do you feel today when you look back from where you started to where you have reached? And what part of your journey amazes you the most?
So what amazes me the most is that I'm actually doing it. Sometimes, you have to pinch yourself and wonder, okay, is this real? Is this what I'm actually doing? Am I not back in my old life? So it's really exciting and amazing that I am doing this and this is real. When I started out, I had no idea of how people would respond to the detergent because, or even to the idea of using a natural cleaning product in India because there wasn't much out there in 2018 when I started testing it out on people and stuff like that. And, it's nice. It's nice to just be a regular brand now, not just something that was a tiny idea in my head.
And when it was when this idea was a tiny idea in your head, during that point, were there doubts about this idea? And also, I'll ask you this question here that I read on one of the blogs that this product was in the product phase for 18 months. It took you 18 months to finally develop this product. So that 18 months of life cycle, how was that cycle for you on a personal level?
So that's an old story now because it's been 3 years since I've been making the product and it has changed so many times even since we first launched. So there was that first 18 months of trying to get it right. And, we started out with that basic 3-ingredient detergent you find on the internet. You make the soap.
Right.
You grate the soap, you put baking soda, you put washing soda, and some say you put borax, and that's the basic 3 or 4 ingredient detergent. And we started from there, and I kept finding that it's lacking in this space and it's lacking in that space. And I would give it to someone to test, and they'd be like, my clothes aren't feeling soft. Oh, this is happening. And then when we started selling, we found that when water temperature went below that 23 degrees, it would sometimes leave some clumping. So then we went back and we figured which ingredient was causing that, what ingredient can help us do that. Then, sometimes when left in too much moisture in someone's laundry room, right? Or their kitchen or whatever, we'd get clumping. So I'm like, okay, so which ingredient is causing that and how do we solve that? And we'd get all sorts of feedback. And based on that, like I had a friend who was part of the testing phase and she said, my sweat stains don't come out. So I had to find a plant-based ingredient that would get sweat stains out on top of the other things. So it was actually quite fun. I like the whole experimentation, and I think that's my favorite part of the job.
I think you touched a very important point here, Shaan, and like I am super, impressed by the way you have taken feedbacks, because it took me a while on a personal level to do that. So, like Shaan, what happens is that when something, I wouldn't say negative, but when a drawback comes your way, like sometimes we feel, oh my God, is my product not good enough because they are not liking it, they are finding, okay, this is missing. So at that stage, it's very necessary to take it as a positive way to move forward.
But I'll be honest, at that moment, it feels awful. Like you feel like you're at rock bottom. You feel like, oh my God, I'm going to shut down. What do I do? Like, how do I solve this? Oh God, everything is crashing. And you just have to get through that crash. And there's no way to not feel that crash. Like, it is definitely going to happen.
So, Shaan, what would you advise to someone who is in this phase right now, who has just started out, who's like getting all these things, and maybe, their self-confidence is slowly deteriorating? So what should one do at that point of time?
For one, know that it's totally normal. Like, you are going to feel awful, and you can't be like, yay, hurrah about everything all the time. Not all your customers are going to love you. I mean, your product. But, you have to keep going, and definitely anyone who's not listening to their customer is not going to get to the next step. So if someone says, oh, I find your website difficult to use, I'm trying to make that better, but it's taking a long time for us to do. But it is something you have to do. Even though I'm like, oh gosh, we spent so long developing this website.
So maybe just seeing beyond like what they're saying and see the opportunities for you to develop on that path.
Yeah, it's like having a huge beta testing audience or a huge survey sent out. Your audience is, how do I say this? If you want to retain your customer, you have to give them what they want. Okay, there are some people who will give you like some wild thing. You should sell it for 50 rupees. I'm like, those are things you can't do. But if someone says it's really expensive, that's some feedback you can work on. Like, okay, can I change my ingredients? Can I change my packaging? Can I do something to make it cheaper while maintaining every standard? And, these are things we're working on. And the way to do it for us is to get scale. The more customers that buy it, the more we can improve on our costs as well.
And like while you have been on this journey, because I have seen like quite a lot of interesting articles or that you have been actually posting on your Instagram, and to me that came to me as a surprise. I was like, okay, this is also possible, this could be also done. So for our listeners and viewers, like definitely go follow Coco Custo's Instagram page. Like, she's putting out some amazing, brilliant stuff. So like I was asking you here that what are the things that reassure you that what you are doing is super necessary? For example, the kind of positive impact that Coco Custo is today having is even more than what you imagined.
Yeah, so last year I took part in this competition called Climate Launchpad, and we actually made it to the global finals. And through that journey, I learned how to do impact assessment, and that shocked me. Like, it shocked me myself that Coco Custo saving over a regular detergent is 42 kgs of carbon equivalent, of CO2 equivalent. And I was surprised by that. And my mentors at Climate Launchpad told me, look, I think it's more than that. You're going to have to go in deeper at that point, I was at the final stage. So I'm looking into other things that are impactful as part of our journey. And I think there are other impacts, right? So we're a woman-led company. We hire mainly women. So there's that SDG we're taking care of by mistake.
Also, like Shaan, like why should one incorporate like natural detergents, or what have been some of your discoveries while you have been creating these natural detergents, something that you hadn't known earlier while you were doing this?
So, Shweta, there's a couple of things. One is you have to do it for the planet, for the environment, and things like that. But I discovered you have to do it for yourself. So I used to have a condition. I used to get like hives by the end of the day. And I would take like a small, very, very mild allergy pill every night before going to sleep, because otherwise I'd be really itchy.
Okay.
And I had already changed all my bath products and this and that and everything. And when I was experimenting and making Coco Custo and also trying out other brands and other products and whatever, I discovered that our detergent made me stop feeling itchy. So I had no idea that the detergent residue left on my blankets or my clothes or whatever was what was causing the allergy. It wasn't something I ate or my environment, or one dermat said it's stress. So, you know, it was a change. And then I got a message recently from someone who said that, hey, they have psoriasis and their clothes have stopped making them itchy. And they had no idea that their clothes would make them itchy as well. So we thought, you know, it's like I used to cut out the labels in my clothes because I felt like those were making me itchy.
Yes.
So you have to do it for yourself.
You know, like I'll tell you something similar. So what happens is, like, my father, like, you know, he often complains of this thing that I'm feeling itchy and, you know, with the clothes. And he always tells my mom that this is because of the washing powder that you have been using.
Yeah.
My mom is like, no, how is it possible because of a washing powder? You know, it's just in your head. No, aisa nahi hai. But then we also experimented the same thing, and we found out that yes, there are these washing powder residues that stay there. And that is what develops this itchiness.
Yeah. Yeah, and the residues, so the sulfate, the labs, the SLS and stuff like that, and while those are, you know, generally biodegradable and they're not like carcinogenic or anything like that, they do build up in, like the SLS or the other sulfates, they build up in your skin. They have a bioaccumulation factor. So it's not immediately the day you stop using these products. It'll take some time for these to actually move out of your system.
Correct. Also, like Shaan, tell me one thing, that during this entire journey that you have been on, what were some of the elements of your journey that really felt difficult when they were happening to you? But now, you know, when you look back, you feel that those were the moments that have really shaped you, or, you know, helped you to be where you are today.
I think you have difficult moments every day, to be honest. You will, as an entrepreneur, you are not going to have a single day that doesn't feel. It is really difficult.
Correct.
And you will also have super high moments in the same day. But I mean, one memory is right in the beginning when I just decided, okay, I've made a product and I'm going to try and sell it. I signed up for one of these organic fairs. It was the Fitness Arts Festival. And I said, okay, I'm going to make 50 kgs and I'm going to take it. And in the middle of that, I was still using like home machines and stuff like that at that point. And my very high, what I thought was a very high wattage blender broke in the middle. And it was like, this was just the day before. So luckily I called up a friend, and he has a kitchen equipment company, and I told him, please give me a blender. And his guy came with a massive blender, and we still use that, right? But I learned that, okay, you will have something awful happen to you, but you have to just be able to fix it. I didn't take 50 kgs, I took 25. That's fine, because at the end of the day I was able to say, oh no, sorry, we're sold out.
In this journey, Shaan, did you ever feel like giving up?
Every day.
And what gets you back? What gets you back to bounce back even stronger?
I have no idea. Sometimes it'll be like, seeing, a sale came through, or some customer's feedback, or just knowing that we're making a difference or making a change. Anything like it. I don't know. Every day is awful and every day is amazing. I think that is like that is the advice I can give anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. Like, get ready for a roller coaster.
You said such a beautiful thing, Shaan. And I think at the end, it's about the mindset. It's about how you are taking these challenges, because it happens every day, as you said.
Yeah.
Someday, as I was talking to this other guest earlier, she said that someday we have financial anxiety, and it's okay to have that.
Yeah, definitely. There are days where you get zero sales,
Right.
and then the next day you'll get so many that you're like, I'm out of stock. So it's just a roller coaster. It's not like having a job where you have a salary coming in every month and this is how I can be, this is how I can budget. The only thing in your business is how much money is going out. You never will know how much money is coming in. You can plan, you can make fancy Excel sheets, which we do. You can have business projections, you can have KPIs, you can do all of that. But it may or may not happen. There are factors outside of what you can do as well. Like, for example, COVID, right? That's a factor that was completely out of everyone's control.
Also, Shaan, because you had stable job, a stable career.
Yeah.
So while building Coco Custo, I can totally say that, you would have had your own financial, ups and downs. So during that moment, how do you keep your inner self strong?
So the first thing I would say is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you should definitely make sure you have the finances to do it, either personally or through an investor. And also, the fact that I had been diligent about creating savings, about investing and doing all of that, that made a big difference. So start doing that now. Go on.
Also, what do you think is the biggest challenge for any brand or any person trying to come into the space of, non-toxic, eco-friendly cleaners, and what would be your suggestions for them to focus on initially?
If you can have the best branding, you can have the fanciest marketing, but if people aren't coming back to buy it, something is wrong with your product. So get your product right.
And any other advice that you would like to give to people? Because also sometimes I have these questions that, okay, I know that I have to develop a cleaner, or but how do you take it from, say, an ingredient level to researching all these research papers, then manufacturing, and then marketing?
So you have to first decide what standards you're using, because India has certain IS standards, but they're not mandatory for non-hospital grade cleaning products. For hospitals, it's a different. So there are certain standards. So you decide what standard are you going to use. The IS standards? Are you going to use the American textile standards? So we use the European AISE standards to develop the product. So that will give you your first step as to what I should be doing to test the product.
So Shaan, tell me something about this product, the ingredients it has, why this product, and why would you recommend this product to any household?
So we are a plant-based and mineral-based cleaning product. We use certified organic oils, which are grown in South India. We have a great guy, and I call him up. I'm like, "Do you have oil?" And then we use sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, which are some of the most abundant elements in the Earth's crust. They're totally natural, totally safe. You will be finding them in most people's kitchens. And after that, we have a bunch of plant-based ingredients. We have a cellulose-based ingredient. We have citric-based ingredients. We have other plant-based acids and things like that in there. We even have not even fruit extract, like the actual fruit in powder form in there to help break down certain stains.
And why this name Coco Custo? Like, where did this come from?
So my friend Nirali, actually, she has a company called Bocap Design, and she's the one who helped me develop the packaging and branding and everything. And we would meet in her office, and we kept trying to come up with a name. Because I had an idea, but I even knew what the packaging should look like, right? Like I knew there would be a reef and an island. And I had this photograph, which was like my inspiration, but we didn't have a name. And she went to the Maldives and came back after a dive trip. And she's like, why don't you name it after like some conservationist or something like that? And I thought that's a great idea. So we looked, we were like, okay, what conservationist? There was Sylvia Earle, who I really look up to. And there was a bunch of other like female scientists, not just in marine conservation and things like that. And then I think I was watching some Netflix documentary, and they mentioned Jacques Cousteau. And I was like, oh my God, this is the guy who invented scuba diving. And I had this whole idea of doing this during or before or after a dive. So I'm like, okay, we should name it something Cousteau. And we were like, okay, the ingredient is coconut. One of our main ingredients is organic coconut oil. So that's how it came to Coco Custo.
Such a nice name. And I'm so sure that maybe in future someone would like name their products after you. Because you are doing something amazing, Shaan. Like, the kind of impact that you're making. And like, to be very honest, I have seen people talking like such amazing things about Coco Custo.
Yeah.
And like, it shows the kind of efforts and the kind of, the thought that you have added into the product. So, Shaan, tell me one thing, that while you had the idea of Coco Custo, from that point, what really gave you the courage to develop it into a product? Were you very confident that, I'll develop into the product, or what was that phase like, the figuring out phase?
I wasn't totally confident that I'd be able to develop it into a product, but I needed a break from my job at that point as well. I worked large scale and small scale construction projects, and construction is a 24/7 sort of job, and there would be a lot of travel and stuff. So I thought, okay, let me take the risk. Let me try. And I tried. I'm like, okay, if I can't do this, I guess I have a career I can go back to. But luckily, it started to work out. And I mean, it took a while. Like I said, I didn't give up for about 18 months. So,
Shaan, tell me more about those 18 months. That how was that time period? Because, like sometimes like when we have the product in hand, we can say that, okay, it took 18 months. But only you as a person know how that 18 months, how each and every day went by.
So you would think that most of it was okay, mixing this ingredient and mixing that ingredient and then testing it. But it wasn't. A lot of it was just reading. A lot of it was just going and finding science about ingredients. A lot of it was downloading journal articles about people who have done experiments on ingredients. And then, as a new business, as a small business, you can't afford these journal articles. So it's emailing the actual scientist who wrote the article and asking them, can you please send it to me? Yeah. It was a lot of that and doing that kind of stuff. And then, of course, there's experiments and setting up a tiny little table in the house where I can do everything and trying to keep my cat's nose out of it. So
Shaan, tell me that, what do you love most about yourself?
Myself?
Yes.
I like that I have a sense of adventure, I think.
You are you have done scuba diving and all these things, right?
Yeah. I've always liked the outdoors.
And how has like your experience with scuba diving actually shaped Coco Custo?
So I actually decided to start Coco Custo after a scuba diving trip. So I was in Mauritius. I was doing my advanced open water, and the instructors told me that there's this small bay where they used to take all the beginners, but they don't take them there anymore because the coral had kind of been destroyed over there from the runoff they think it's from the runoff from the resorts. And Mauritius doesn't have much industry or agriculture. It's mostly a tourist destination. And that's when I discovered that cleaning products actually kill coral. And that's the reason I decided to start Coco Custo.
That's such that is like, that feeling and that reason is like so amazing. Also, Shaan, that like when you thought that you have to do something into cleaning, did that idea seem like very like how I'm gonna start, or like where I'm gonna start from? Did you had that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Like where can I start? How do I start? And I don't know why I decided to start with laundry. I have no idea, but that is the one I decided to start with.
And see, today you're impacting so many, like, having a positive impact with so many people on the planet and everything. Like, such amazing thing.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can keep creating impact and continue growing the impact as well.
You are, Shaan. You definitely are. So, Shaan, let's move to our last segment. That's the rapid fire segment. So,
okay.
The first question would be, one piece of advice you would like to give your younger self.
Don't worry so much.
Okay. A step you took that you're extremely proud of.
Starting Coco Custo.
How would you like the world to know you? How would like the world to know Shaan Lalwani?
As someone who does things that match her value system.
Wow. Are you proud of being a unique contribution to the planet?
Yes, definitely.
Shaan, say it loud. Say it in a complete line. Yes, I am proud of myself.
Yes, I am proud of myself.
And Shaan, what are you grateful for today?
Today, I'm grateful for this great conversation with you. I love your podcast, and I'm so happy that you're doing this and highlighting businesses that are impacting the planet positively.
Thank you, Shaan. Thank you for your super, super, super kind words. And thank you for being here on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Shweta. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.